Here we are, we're back. New episode of the show.
Yeah, that one. We were taking on this fucking boss and failing miserably. But you know what? There's always the next time. There's always a brighter tomorrow on the horizon.
Yes. I don't know, that just sounds like shallow platitudes to me.
No. I'm gonna win. Shut up. Oh god. This boss is scary. Davoo, talk about something while I fight this boss.
Oatmeal. I don't know. You know, when I was, when me and my family, we're doing, a missionary sort of thing in Uganda for, 8 months. The food is just so boring and dumb and gay over there. The main thing they eat is matoke, which is, some sort of, banana, but, inside of it, it tastes more like mashed potatoes, but it's banana.
That's fucking weird.
And they just, get a giant bowl of that, and that's the main thing they eat. It's you know, the stereotypical way of, Asians and rice. But, they have this weird banana mashed potato thing. And you just eat so much of it, and it doesn't taste particularly good. It just tastes like what I described it as. And then they just have lots of beans. Just, when I went to Uganda, I saw beans. Lots of beans, lots of beans, lots of beans. That and matoke, and it was just, bland and boring, and you buy milk out of, a baggie that spoils in 2 days, and it's gross. Bread, sliced bread, was always stale. And months later, living there, my mom looked at the bag up close. There were punch holes in it.
So deliberately.
Yeah, and our slave said, "Oh, well, that's to keep it fresh."
Our slave.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's someone you hire to work for you, and they're black and you're white. What else do you call it?
Well, if you're hiring them, then they're not a slave.
That's not what I learned in my safe space in my college campus. Anyway, in Uganda, if you have any money at all, then having a worker around the house is, I guess, normal.
Well, yeah, that's true in a lot of countries.
Yeah. Anyway.
In the Philippines, they had work staff.
Any sort of processed food that you could get your hands on was just the best thing ever, and it gave me a huge appreciation for oatmeal, the kind you get in a box and you have a little, baggies in it for them.
Yeah.
And you just pour hot water, and it's just this giant mishmash of brown sugar and blueberry flavor. And I've just always had an affinity for that, I guess, for that reason.
Can't say I've ever been into oatmeal, but I know that oatmeal is one of the best things to eat when you're on if you need cereal, because it's a protein. It's got lots of protein.
Yeah,
so it's good for a working out diet. Fuck you, big fucking tree monster piece of shit. Yeah, I did it.
There's certain flavors of kitty oatmeal.
And I got all 3 treasures.
I remember at Price Chopper when I was a kid, they had this blueberry scuba diving ocean themed oatmeal that had blueberry, but it was a type of blueberry that was just out of this world, but it was discontinued. But thankfully there was another type of oatmeal called dinosaur eggs that's totally still in existence, and it's basically these little dinosaur egg candies.
Whoa, look at this. Yeah.
And those candies are the most delicious thing ever. I'm not a fan of candy, but those candies were great.
Was this old guy here before, chattering his ass off?
I don't think so.
Well, anyway, we just got a 4th of the game completed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is the advantage of someone who's played it before.
Yes. Well, not that that's been helping me massively or anything. I wouldn't say I've been doing an amazing job, but I, let's go to Toy Block Tower. I don't remember what this one was. Oh, this was the place where I went and I fell and didn't know how to get up.
I see.
So, wait, was it this place?
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, this is the place where I just straight up failed. That's right. When we were doing the Maddox conversation.
I see.
Yeah, I just died here. But it was a longer level.
Yeah.
So,
I guess the problem I'm having with ginning up topics is a similar one to Victor that he has, which is not being confident in the interestingness of your random life stories, which seems to be something that you've gotten down pretty well. You know how to tell stuff in a way that will be good.
You know what's a lot you know what's guaranteed about those stories is that they will be more interesting than silence.
Yeah, okay. I guess I'm just gonna try. I guess another reservation is I'm trying to not come off as like a frightening, horrible person, because I know that's what I'd do if I
good luck.
completely, if I just completely just said whatever I was thinking of, you know. I don't know.
Do you think you're that much of a frightening, horrible person?
Kinda. Yeah. I don't know.
What could you possibly say that would be worse than you've said elsewhere?
I guess not worse, just more of the same. I don't know. Life stories. You know, it's funny. Like when you did the interview of me, like you were like, "So Davoo, what are like things you've done with your life?" And I just like couldn't even think about it because I just hadn't been thinking about my life in terms of life stories in a while. Because the last 2 years of my life was just doing YouTube stuff, and and focusing on nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to me that everyone else has more difficulty with that than I do. Like Victor is always saying that like he has to actively plan out the stories he'll tell on the show. Like anytime he tells a story about like something he did in a film or something like that,
you can always tell like he's going through like this like plan that he had devised of how to explain it.
He cannot just like remember something and then formulate a story around it.
Well, I think for me it's the fact that I'm new to the whole fact that people want to hear that, you know? Like I didn't have like followers until just now.
Well, you got to remember that an interesting story, all that makes it interesting
is how it's told. Yes.
Is how it's told and if you can present yourself as like, yeah, I guess just how it's told. It's just a matter of like, can I convince people that this is interesting? It's not inherently interesting.
Right.
So
yeah,
if you can,
you've definitely proven that. Like your life is not that much different from like a normal person, but you say it correctly.
Unlike whatever just came out of your mouth.
Yes.
I say it correctly.
Okay, so what I need is I just need to be a little bit more confident in myself, you know.
Yeah.
So for the last couple of years, like, and this is not as much the case, but I've been very much about this like annoying firebrand, I care about nothing but my craft sort of attitude, right?
Yeah.
Like particularly going into YouTube, I was like, it must be done. I must be successful on YouTube and be the best one, the best guy. And don't consider myself to have any weaknesses at all. I must be amazing at everything, at all times, and work as hard as possible. Never take a break, or rarely, and be annoying to everyone, saying, "Nope, not gonna go hang out, do that. Not gonna do this. Not gonna do that. Eat a dick." I never said that part, you know. But
you would have. You thought it.
Yeah.
It was in your mind.
You know, I built up resentment to people who wanted me to go do things. Even YouTube videos, I kind of have a resentment, like, you want me to waste my time, huh? No.
Yeah.
And that happened once, recently. I was watching Jimquisition's Best of Steam Greenlight trailers, and it reminded me of how, no matter how bad of a game designer I am, I still won't be as bad as any of these people. And that inspired me to make games for like a couple of days, and I just wasted a couple of days ginning up design documents and stuff. And I'm like, yep, thanks YouTube, sucking away my time. So basically the opposite of how you feel about how you have enough time to chill out and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of it I think was from having a normal job for like 4 years that I got thoroughly sick of.
Right.
And I like, you know, as a millennial, that's basically the same as fighting in Normandy for me. Is having a normal job for that long, right? Because, you know, the thing that, like, all the armchair psychologists say that, like, you know, people of that generation, all they want is to just sit down on the recliner and just have everything be peaceful and quiet, right?
Uh-huh.
Because they went through such hell from, like, you know, like the 1-2 punch of the Depression and then the war that they're done, you know?
Right.
Like, their mental states are forever different. And like that's what I'm like.
Shit.
for cleaning windows. God, just kill me instead. For like almost half a decade, every day waking up being like, oh God, I don't want to go. I don't want to do this. Feeling the death feeling.
You're gonna have a hard time making this sound like it's actually dramatic.
Yeah. Well, that's how it felt to me, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's interesting to know. I'm grateful to know that most people aren't like that. Like you remember that one guy who called into the Dick show who was like, I want to have a job that isn't my life? And Dick was like, oh yeah, you should like do something like be an AC repairman. And he's like, yeah, maybe. You know? Yeah. I remember meeting an AC repairman once. Can you guess what he was doing?
What?
Repairing an AC. And he was explaining like what the job was like and how much education it took, and I'm like, wow, I could never ever be like this person. It's a good thing not everyone in the world is me, because then there would be no functional air conditioning, you know?
Yeah.
Because like the guy who said, I don't want my job to be my life, for me I feel precisely the opposite. I don't want to have a job that isn't also my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I hear all the time people like giving advice like, you know, you don't want your creativity to become work. And I'm like, I absolutely do. I want it to be identical.
There are people who I am a fan of who are like decidedly unprofessional and who don't want to make it their job. They all have shitty audio. Just saying, you know? None of them have put in the investment to even have a decent microphone.
Who's a good example?
Mr. B-Tongue.
That's, yeah.
And Roger Vanderweed. Who I'm the only TPC person who is a fan of him, and I'm not always a fan of him.
Well, but, I think he's cool.
Yeah.
I don't watch his stuff regularly, but I like his. Oh yeah, this is the room I got trapped in last time. That's
Roger Vanderweed is the master of bad audio. Like, he's unprecedented in his skills. Because I did like a collaboration video with him once, and I sent him my audio, but I sent it into him like with a compressed folder, because that's how he was sending files to me, in compressed zip files. And so I sent him my zip folder, and then I watched the video, and I sound like this. So my only guess is he didn't decompress the files.
Oh.
It was hilarious. Like, you can go, just search Internet Critics Dissected. I believe that's the Roger video that I am in. And my audio sounds impossibly bad. You'd have assumed I used some ancient microphone on it.
Right.
But no, it was my normal $50 microphone I was using at the time in my $100 interface.
Oh, I didn't get all 4 pieces of the of the thing, which means I will have to play that level again later.
Yeah, you know, Roger has explained to me personally that he has a weird, what he admits is like a weird, not rational bias, that like he feels that an artistic job is not something that benefits the world.
Right.
And he knows that that's not true, but it's just like a personal feeling to him. He feels like he only feels productive if he's doing a more normal job that has a more conventional, you know, a person hired you, they give you this sort of payment.
Right. I mean, I think Nate feels the same way. He's always saying how like, you know, even though he wants to be a creative person, have that be his job, just like selfishly, he feels that, like, you know, the only people actually moving the world forward are scientists.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know. If nothing else, creative people move my life forward, you know?
Yeah, well, that's the problem, is that so many creative people, all they inspire is more creativity.
Right.
You know?
But hey, all the creative people in science fiction inspired scientists with Star Trek and stuff, so it's clearly a thing.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I think creativity is plenty important and is helping people outside of just creatives. But it is really funny whenever someone's like, you know, yeah, your decision to live your life by doing whatever the hell you want and being a YouTuber has inspired me to try to do the same thing. And I'm like, yeah. I don't know if I'm happy about inspiring people to do what I do.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. But I mean, you were one of many inspirations for me to get into YouTube, so I guess I'm the same thing.
Right.
That is indeed true. Yeah. I remember one way in which you justified this particular brand of media analysis YouTubing to Nate was like, okay, let's put this in like really like cold societal terms. Like, you have all the worker ants, right, who make the stuff, and they need entertainment to keep them satisfied. And then there are some worker ants who get disillusioned about the entertainment and have an appreciation for its meta. And so they need people like us to satisfy that.
Right.
curiosity of theirs.
Exactly. You always. It's all about keeping people from being unsatisfied or depressed. And I do think though that like on some level, I wish that like I have plenty of fans who like love my work just because they're like, yeah, it's entertaining and I love it and it helps
Right.
me after a long hard day's work to relax. But then there's also a ton of people who are like, you know, thanks to you doing this stuff, now I want to do the same thing.
Right.
And then I worry that those people should be doing something else.
Right.
That they that this is not the right path for them, you know.
Indeed.
And I mean, eventually they'll figure that out, you know. But
Yes.
it's weird for me because I don't want to discourage anybody. Because
Right.
if you do become like me, then that'll be awesome.
Right.
You know?
And if nothing else, the fact that they have the clear goal of being like you and then they realize it won't work, whatever they try next, maybe the skills and experience they picked up in that can be
Yeah.
transferred, you know?
Skills and experience can always be.
That's
transferred.
that's kind of how whole new mediums and genres come about when people combine skills, sometimes without thinking about it. Like James Rolfe is a good example. He combined his he basically went to the idea of writing a review, but came to it from the perspective of a
Oh,
filmmaker.
I can kill these things when I'm fat. Yes.
Like the dude's a filmmaker by trade, by heart.
Right.
And so when he came up with the idea of doing a review, he naturally went about it in that manner. And to an extent that I don't think anyone had ever done it before. And boom, he created a whole genre on the internet
Yeah.
by doing that. Similarly to how J.R.R. Tolkien went into novel writing with his experience as a linguist.
Yeah.
Where the whole idea is, well, I can't just write a fantasy world. I gotta write the language that the fantasy people speak first.
Well, I think it was more that he wanted to write a language and therefore
Right.
wrote a fantasy world.
Indeed.
Yeah. That's all. Those are all true facts and statements.
They are the
Straight
true
from
facts.
the pages of the dictionary.
They're
and
all
the book.
facts, straight from the fax machine.
Yes, the Bible and the Torah and the Quran.
Yes. What's up with all these mini Warios in the hot rods or the pink cars?
I don't know now that you mention it.
What's the lore behind those? We need Vadi Vidya on this.
Yes.
500 years ago, Wario.
500 years ago, when the Warriors were first. Well, that's more British. This is Australian.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Tell me if you agree.
he's a thick
Do you know a
Australian.
disproportionate amount of cool Australians?
Like, do I know of or know personally?
Know of or know personally?
I don't know if it's disproportionate.
I just think about how there's only 20 million Australians. There are twice as many Canadians as Australians. And you compare
I know
that...
a lot of cool Canadians, though.
I don't know. I just feel like I know more Australians than the amount of than their representative percentage of the Anglosphere.
Maybe. But I mean, I'm thinking like, okay, Canadians, YMS, Every Frame a Painting,
Joff.
Geoff Thu, yeah. What is this telling me to do? Get a what? Get a goal? Oh, do I have to fucking just keep spinning this thing until a goal shows up? Is that what it's telling me? I think so. What other cool Canadians can you think of?
That should be a new series. Cool Canadians.
That was just straight up, it just hurt me.
Yep.
It was just a fucking lightning bolt that did damage. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm sure there's... I mean, I know personally more Australians just because of the pub crawl, but...
Yes. Soon to be renamed the Pup Crawl, apparently.
I don't know if... I mean, it's Pub Crawl Games is his game studio.
I see.
I don't think the pub crawl is gonna be the pub crawl. Wouldn't make any sense.
Anyway,
What do I have to
going
fucking
back
do
going
here?
back to the walk of life topic. My main thing that I want to have happen is that an analysis of some game that I make inspires people to make a game differently. You know, that is my main goal.
Did you see that for a second?
Yeah,
there?
he was paused in like a...
He looked like he was naked.
Yes. And then he has really pale skin. But yeah, that's my main goal. Like, I wrote a couple of pages of an analysis of the Mario and Luigi RPGs. I'm thinking at some point I might just throw together a video about that whole series and like what they do wrong now, without putting too much effort into it, because otherwise I'll never get it done. But like my main goal in making that video.
Oh shit! It went backwards.
My main goal in making that video would be to inspire people to make the right kind of game. There needs to be more Undertales in the world.
Yes.
Those like, just like the genre is what I like to call a good RPG. Where like things are interesting. I honestly think of it as its own genre, where like there's always unique characters, and there's lots of like unique like world building elements that are told through gimmicky gameplay moments. You know, I kind of think of them as a genre. Like Lisa is also in that genre, sorta. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of genres are sort of like immediately indicative of their quality sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying Souls-like. It's basically just like saying it's a good game.
Yeah, well,
you know?
what does a Souls-like game mean? Well, it has really great art design and a really deep world that.
Although that one, I mean, Lords of the Fallen is a Souls-like, and that game's garbage. So.
Well then, is it garbage? I don't know much about it.
Lords of the Fallen is total garbage. It's just a badly made game, like on every level.
I see.
Like buggy, incomplete, shitty bosses, shitty balancing. The main thing it has going for it is that it just directly rips off Dark Souls in terms of its combat mechanics, but they're a lot more sticky and not like. It's not good. It's not a good game.
Yeah.
It's like if you tried to make a like discount store ripoff version of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I did it.
Okay, next time on this show.
Yeah, I guess that's the end. Next time on Digi and Davoo.
Neem.
Hey, buddy.
Yes.